you guys ready for a really super fun project? This week we're going to do a word art collage called Words to Live By. So what are your words to live by? What are the words that have always stuck with you? That quote that you heard or that song lyric that you just keep hearing in your head over and over again? That thing that just really says, wow, that gets me. What are those words in your life? If you don't have words like that you can remember, maybe you can look some up. I definitely looked up a lot of mine when I was preparing for this because I wanted to have a lot of different quotes, and I actually looked up so many that I then ended up having to pick and choose and cross out the ones that I couldn't fit in there and use the ones that really, really meant the most to me. So you can look them up. There's lots of different places. Just do an inspirational quote search online and you'll find tons and tons of quotes. So they can be quotes from famous people, or they can be quotes from songs, or they can be quotes from something in your life that was just quotable. Like I remember when my daughter was young, this will probably embarrass her because you guys all know her, but when she was 2 or 3 years old, she used to get confused about, what was it? It was about the saying, chill out or hold your horses. And she used to always say, chill out with your horses. And so that became a quote in our family. And now we still say, chill out with your horses, because that's what Kaylin used to say. So maybe you have quotes that are like your family quotes too, and you can use those as well. So whatever it is that really inspires you, you need to find at least 5 quotes. And once you have those, you can kind of arrange them and figure out how they go together. I'll show you my process as I put together my word art. Now, using a program like Autodesk Sketchbook is really helpful because it has fonts, and fonts are awesome because you don't have to hand draw that fancy lettering. But if you're good at hand drawing fancy lettering, then by all means draw it. Or if you just want to improve your skills with lettering, hand drawing lettering is awesome to do and awesome to learn. It'll take you a long way as an artist. So, either way, you could do it on paper, you could do it in a program, however you want to do it, okay? Whatever works for you, but you need to have the 5 quotes, and then you're going to turn them into a piece of art. You're going to include some pictures, some images. It might be doodles. It might be something else. So I have some examples that I'm going to show you of word art, but beware because this is not exactly word art like what we're doing, okay? So these examples show you how you can turn words or quotes into art, but a lot of these just have one quote, and you're required to have more than one quote, not just one, okay? So be aware of that as you look at the examples, but they give you some really good ideas of how you can use words and turn them into art. So here they are. So what do you need to include to get a good grade on this project? Here are the important things. Pay attention. You need 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 different quotes in your art. No plain old handwriting, none of that. So if you have handwriting in your art, it needs to be pretty handwriting like this. I don't know what this says. It's some kind of mumbo jumbo, but I see fart again up there. Do you guys see that? Fart again. No fart again, okay? This is art. So make it artistic. Make it beautiful. Make it full of your drawings and lines and things that make it aesthetically pleasing to the viewer. It's not about just writing some stuff down. It's making it look really, really good. Whenever you design, you are striving to achieve unity in your art. Unity is one of the principles of design, and basically it just means that everything works together and looks good together. It looks like it all belongs together. So you guys know, like in Sesame Street, that old song, one of these things is not like the other, one of these things just doesn't belong. We don't want that. Except, well, you can make things stand out. Standing out can be great in a design, but it should stand out in a way that looks good, doesn't look wrong, or look like it doesn't belong there. All the pieces of your design should work together like gears in a machine. So remember, it's about fitting them together in a pleasing way. Here's the video of my process. You only need to watch this part if you want to see what I did in Sketchbook. I started out by looking for some quotes and then pasting them all into a Word document to work from later. I also spent a little time arranging my quotes in a way that I thought made sense by putting the ones that seemed to be related next to each other. I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do my design, so I started out just with one of my favorite quotes from the bunch. So I pasted that into the middle using the text tools to change the font and design it. If you want to have more than one font using Sketchbook within the same quote, you need to break it up into pieces so that you can do that, because you can only put one font on at a time. So I did part of the quote, then I did the middle part in a different font and a different color, and then I did the last part. That gave me a text quote that had a different look in the middle, and that made it more interesting. After that, I just started to play around with my design. Remember, as you're designing in Sketchbook, if that's what you choose to use, that your layers tool can be a really big help to you. If you have something that seems like it's on top of the other things and you don't want it to be on top, then you can go to the layers tool and drag it up or down according to the other layers to show whether it's on top or on bottom, and that can change that effect for you. One of my quotes is, "Good times, noodle salad," which is from an old movie that I like. So I thought maybe it would be cool to have some noodle salad. So I went to a stock art site that has free stock art. It's called Pixabay.com. All of the images on Pixabay are free for public use. Just be careful because they do have a little advertised section at the very top, and if you click on that, it will send you to Shutterstock, and those ones you have to pay for. So make sure you don't use that top row of advertised photos. But all the other photos are photos that users put on there for free. So I was going to get some, and I actually did, and then decided to put it on my art, and then later on I decided I didn't like it and I took it off. But if you want to include images in your art, Pixabay is a great site that you can use. So just make sure that you're adding them to art, not just pasting in a bunch of pictures. I talked about that in my other video. If you want to try adding images in Sketchbook, just go to File, Add Image, and then find where you saved your art to. After that, I just kept adding in quotes and putting them in places where I thought that they looked good. Sometimes when you first start out with your art, it doesn't look very good. It doesn't look like it makes sense. And you have to push through and get to a point where it starts to look better. So don't worry if it doesn't look like much when you start. You just have to stick with it. Also, at some point, I realized that my canvas size was too small and I was running out of room. So you can go to Image, Canvas Size, and then increase the numbers to make your white space bigger so that you have more room to work if you need to do that. After I had a few quotes in, I had a better idea of what the composition of my design would look like. So I decided it was time to add a background because it was looking kind of sparse as it was. I just went ahead and started doing the background in a new layer, and I scribbled right on top of everything else in order to get some color on there, so it looks like it's covering everything up. But the good thing about this is I could also kind of work around the shape of the words that I had, so that my final design included a sense of movement that went with some of the text. And then, once I had that in, it was easier to just move that to the bottom and bring the text to the top, again by using that layers over at the side. If you are looking for those layers, it looks like a bunch of little pages stacked on top of each other. It's that button, and it will bring up a panel on the side like you see on the side of my screen. And all those different ones, if you drag on the little arrows with lines, that's how you click on them to move them up or down. That's really, really handy, so get used to working with layers. So after I had my background done, I went ahead and moved it down to the bottom, and then it already looked a lot better. Now I was able to bring in my next quotes and really kind of find the spaces where they looked like they belonged, and also work with the color scheme that I had going. Drawing on top, framing, and adding little details can really help your art come together. If you don't like how something turned out, you can always change it. As you start to fit in the rest of your quotes, think of it like a puzzle. Think of the quotes as line work. Where do they go that adds to your overall composition? How does it make it look when you put things in a certain spot? If you'll notice, as I put in the rest of my quotes, I change them around a lot. I'll put them in one place, try them in another. And that's the great thing about using a program like Sketchbook. You get to move things around as much as you want. They're not stuck on the page. Remember that a really great artist always knows when to stop. I still had a few quotes that I wanted to try to fit in, but there just wasn't a place where they looked right when I tried them out. So I realized I needed to stop because my work was actually done. I just had a few little details that I wanted to draw in to emphasize some of the other things, and there it is, all done. Remember, you don't have to use Sketchbook, but it is a really great app to use if you'd like to try it out for this lesson. Have fun, guys!